Last week I set out to find a new daily driver. Why? Well, because my Porsche Cayenne sold. I wanted something slightly smaller, more economical and faster for my daily driving duties. So I went onto Auto Trader filtering for my budget of £3,000, minimum MPG of 40 miles per gallon, and minimum power of 200 horsepower, and the results came in. And to my surprise, the car that came up most numerously, and it had completely slipped under my radar, was the Jaguar XF. More specifically, the 3-litre turbo diesel model around from the late 2000s. Nothing advertised really took my fancy, so I reached out to my followers on Instagram to see if anyone was selling one or knew of one that was being sold. And very quickly, I was contacted by a follower who was selling his gorgeous blue over cream XF 3-litre diesel. Exactly what I was after. The spec was spot on, it was the engine I wanted, and after listening to a few more details, I agreed to buy the car. The only thing is, the car was about 200 miles away from me up in Manchester, which would have meant taking, well, a whole day out of work and not an insignificant amount of money to go and collect it. Therefore, I decided to get the car delivered, which cost a grand total of £350. I paid £2,500 for the car, so all told, I'd bought my lovely new daily driver for £150 under budget. Perfect, right? As soon as the car arrived and was off the trailer, I suggested to my wife that we take it for a very short run. We drove 5 minutes to the local garden centre because, well, where else do Jaguar owners go to? However, on the way back, my wife took the wheel and this happened. Back at home, I opened the bonnet to discover a whole lot of smoke and a sea of red right in the depths of the engine. So there could only be one conclusion to this. My wife broke it. Her poor driving in the 5 minutes she was behind the wheel caused catastrophic damage to the cooling system of the engine. Obviously, joking aside, it seemed sadly that there was something far more concerning going on. And the doubly frustrating thing is that this was genuinely just meant to be a sensible daily driver that didn't really even feature on YouTube. But here we are. So being the impatient person that I am, I decided to do some internet research to see if I could find any clues as to what was causing this catastrophic coolant leak. It wasn't immediately visible from looking under the bonnet, and I did contact the seller and he assured me that this had never happened before. What was apparent though is that the majority of coolant was pooling right into the V of the engine, and from research this consistently pointed to one specific component: the water outlet connector. Now throughout this video I'm going to make a common mistake and incorrectly refer to this as the thermostat housing. However, it's not that, as the thermostat is located below the expansion tank next to the radiator. The water outlet connector is located in the V of the engine under the throttle body housing and sits on the engine oil and fuel cooler. The usual failure of this component is that it splits along the seam that joins the front part to the rear part. This results in the loss of coolant and a subsequent warning of low coolant level in red on the dash. Exactly what I got. The only way to really confirm if this is indeed the culprit causing my coolant leak is, well, to take the engine apart and get into the V, remove it and see. So I put out an Instagram story about 5 minutes ago about this problem I'm having with the Jag, and within 5 minutes a lovely chap called Jack messaged me asking him to give him a call, and he's just spent 15 minutes with me talking through the issues. So we are thinking that it is thermostat housing, because if you look at the thermostat housing, so it came out, should I say, like this. Now you see on the left hand side it's wet, and on the right hand side it's not so wet. If you look very closely on the left hand side, around where my thumb is, if you look here, you can see there is a little bit of a gap, and I reckon that could be causing the issue. So I'm going to order a thermostat housing. I'm going to try and go and pick one up today. Been recommended someone called Keith Gott, who's about 20 minutes from me, so I'm going to try and pick up a part right now, fit it, and I mean if this is it, I would be so happy. So let's start with that anyway, put it all back together and then see.
Hello.
Oh, hi there. I'm just after a thermostat housing for, it's a Jaguar. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, hi there. I'm after a thermostat housing for the 3 litre diesel. It's a Jag XF. I was wondering if you might have one in stock.
Do you mean the plastic housing in the valley?
In the V, so I get the outlet. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, we keep those in stock, yes.
Would I just be able to confirm the part number, just so make sure I've told you the right thing?
Jag equivalent is Juliet Delta Echo.
Yeah. 234. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. I'll be over there in about half an hour's time. Right, let's go off and see Keith Gott, who has got a thermostat housing in stock. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna complain about the fact that it means I get to have a nice half an hour or so drive in the Range Rover. Parts acquired. I've never met anyone that is less happy to take my money before. Anyway, having a look then, I did bring the old part. I just want to check that we've definitely got the right thing. That's the old one. Yeah, I mean, that looks identical to me. Comes with O-rings as well. So there's 2 O-rings that go onto the head, and then there's a smaller O-ring which goes, I think, over the oil cooler, which actually I didn't notice when I took the old one off. And that's it. So let's get home now and yeah, try and fit this, and hopefully this fixes our issue. 50 quid including VAT, by the way, so not too bad considering I was able to pick it up within about half an hour. So yeah, let's get this thing started again. Let's get home. So first things first, whilst everything was apart, I decided to get as much kitchen roll in the V as I could and clean up as much of that coolant as possible. This will be helpful later for determining whether the car is still losing coolant after replacing the inlet water connector. The actual process of fitting this isn't too difficult. It's literally a question of seating it in the right place with the O-rings and then torquing up 3 8mm bolts. The tricky bit, and the thing that took hours thereafter once I'd fitted the inlet water pipe, was all of the clips and connectors, making sure they were all secure and back in place. Right, well, I've put everything pretty much back together. All the coolant stuff's connected and everything is plugged back in. So I'm gonna top off the coolant tank with some water, and then we'll give it a start up, see what we can spot whilst it's all still sort of apart. Hopefully nothing. Right, so I think replacing the thermostat housing was definitely the right course of action, because I'm no longer getting coolant level low after 5 minutes behind the wheel or less, but after a 20 or 30 minute drive, which I've tried, the coolant level is going from the maximum under the bonnet down to around the minimum in about 30 minutes, which obviously means it's still losing quite a lot of coolant at quite a fast rate. I've ran the car up, I've started it from cold, I've had a look underneath the bonnet, I've taken some bits off again to see if I can spot where this is coming from, but it still looks to be leaking into that V where the thermostat housing sits. So I'm wondering perhaps if I have fitted it incorrectly, potentially I didn't seat it properly, the O-rings, something like that, or what's probably quite probable is that I've not put something back together properly or broken something in the process. This is frustrating. So I've spoken to my friends at Glenrans, the guys who are currently looking after my L322. We're doing some work on that. Now, I actually need to go and pick that car up tomorrow. And so they've said, bring this in and we'll sort it out. So I think that's probably my best option. I want to go back in there and fix it myself, but I'm just a bit worried that if I'm doing something wrong, I could cause some more problems than I solve. I did also manage to break some sort of boost pipe in the process, and although I've got no warning on the dash, I definitely think I need to get that fixed properly. Oh gosh. So I'm going to take the car into Glenrans then tomorrow when I go to pick up the Range Rover. Oh dear. Guys, comment below what you think it is. Do you think it's going to be something simple? Do you think this is going to end up being quite expensive? I suppose if you want to find out how much it cost me to fix my Jag, certainly I want to find out, then stay subscribed, like this video, and I suppose we'll be seeing next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon.
Keith Scott's hold music slaps.